You are now listening to the smooth, mellifluous sounds of Red's Room Podcast. Enjoy.
Welcome to episode number 13 of the Red's Room Podcast. I'm your host, Red.
And I'm Jake.
And today we are talking about the Rosicrucians. As always, our references are in the episode description. Please check those. Make sure we're not lying.
Yeah, 100%. They're all down there.
Otherwise, I'm going to start throwing in a random lie just to see if you guys check it.
Yeah,
No, just kidding.
That would be common.
No. So, the Rosicrucians, who are they? Let's get a little bit of this backstory before we dive into the crazier things that we like to get into. So, Rosicrucianism is a spiritual and cultural movement that arose in Europe in the early 17th century after the publication of several texts announcing to the world a new esoteric order. Rosicrucianism is symbolized by the rosy cross or rose cross. The origins and teachings of the Rosicrucians are described in three anomalously published books that have been attributed to John Valentin Andre, a Lutheran theologian, a teacher who wrote the utopian treatise Christianopolis, the Fame Fraternis of the Meritorious Order of the Rosy Cross, and the Confession of the Rosicrucian Fraternity. Sorry, one more. And the Chemical Marriage of Christian Rosencrux. These recount the travels of Christian Rosencrux, a putative founder of the group, who is now generally regarded as a fictional character. And I would say by the name Christian Rosencrux, founding the Rosicrucians, you gotta just assume that's fictional, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's certain things, other topics we've covered before, like some Plato stuff, and, like, you almost have to take some of the stuff more fictional, like you said, or symbolically, which is a big thing in this conspiracy, or just topic.
Topic. There's some conspiracies tied to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Yeah, you gotta
read in between the lines, make your own opinion about it.
There's definitely some metaphorical things, and it's done on purpose.
I think 100%. A lot of it is done on purpose.
Yeah, but I don't think that should take away from some of the cool ideas they have.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I guess just to throw a little bit extra on here, like, this whole Rosicrucian topic, like, it is so mysterious and spiritual and just freaking religious, weird. Like, it is a dense, weird topic, and it's gonna be hard to do it justice, but I think we got a pretty good background here.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best.
Yeah, that's the way I felt. I kind of felt like a fish out of water, but it's a cool topic.
Definitely. So, Christian Rosencrux, if he was real, awesome name.
Yeah.
But it's regarded fictional character rather than a real person. According to the books, Rosencrux was born in 1378 and lived for 106 years. Really good for back then.
Yeah, pretty long life there, man.
Yeah, it's in the 1300s.
Yeah.
That would be great for nowadays.
Yeah.
So, after visiting the Middle East and North Africa in search of secret wisdom, good places to search, he returned to Germany and organized the Rosicrucian Order in 1403. He erected a sanctuary where he entombed after his death in 1484. The alleged discovery of the tomb 120 years later became the occasion for the public announcement of the order's existence. So the order was secret until then. But in this telling of the story, they didn't even talk about the order yet. I guess you got to dive into the books for that. So you can still buy these books and read them to this day. I will link those.
Yeah, the manifestos are freaking...
Yeah, manifestos. That's a good way to put it. And there's many books written about the Rosicrucians, and I'll try to link some things for you guys to check out if you want to dig deeper.
What's crazy too about like when they first emerged, like they were all, like you said before, anonymously like brought about. There was 2 versions, and then there was a 3rd version released, and they were all anonymous. No one knows for sure who wrote them, where they came from, and
Yeah. It's just alleged who wrote them.
yes, 100%.
Yeah, I like that.
knows?
Like anonymous, just dropping these.
Yeah, we get a live stream coming soon. Rosicrucians confirmed.
Yeah, this is the version of anonymous back then. I like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So yeah, I feel like that just adds to the hype around them.
Agreed.
Let's dig. Let me read a little more. We'll continue on a little bit here. So, the secretive nature of the early brotherhood, if it actually existed, would have made contact with it difficult. The combination of alchemy and mysticism associated with it, however, became quite influential. Rosicrucianism was attractive to many thinkers throughout Europe, possibly including the English philosopher and scientist Francis Bacon, name drop. It declined dramatically in the 18th century, however, a victim of the skepticism and rationalism of the Enlightenment. That darn Enlightenment,
Yeah.
killing all the fun. Though some Rosicrucian ideas survived in speculative Freemasonry.
Yeah, that's a big thing right there, where it was almost like, guess you could say like this is how Freemasonry became a thing. Like
Some people say it's how
Yeah.
Freemasonry started, but man, I don't know. It's hard to trace.
it is, it's totally hard to tell, and that's what both makes me interested and pisses me off about this whole Rosicrucian topic. Is like, you really don't know for sure, man.
Yeah.
There's no way to know. Also, the whole thing about the early brotherhood, like, there's no way, at least something I thought about in a video that I watched, and this shit had to have been written by like a group of people in secret. At least that's the way I want to think about it. Like, I don't have the conclusion that this stuff was written by one guy. Like, there's no way.
I don't know.
But that's also the thing too. Maybe it was.
Maybe it was all made up by Francis Bacon.
Yeah, maybe.
He's a polymath reptilian alien.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I don't know.
Maybe a reptile did write it, but
But yeah, pretty deep stuff. It's impressive. Whoever this Christian Rosencrux may or may not have been, or the group that created him.
yeah, like a secret society.
And we'll get more into that too. We'll get some more details about this group of the Rosicrucians. And
there's a bunch of theories about them.
but that was the basic story and overview of what they are.
100%.
So let's talk about this. So if you were living in that time, all these books dropped and there was all this hype around the Rosicrucians, kind of how it was received. So the manifestos were and continue to be not taken literally by many, but rather regarded as hoaxes or allegorical statements. Like we said, like metaphorical. Allegorical is much probably a better term.
Yeah.
You know, we just got high school diplomas here. We're doing our best. So they state, "We speak unto you by parables, but would willingly bring you to the right, simple, easy, and ingenuous exposition, understanding, declaration, and knowledge of all secrets." End quote. That's what they state.
Yeah, that was pretty dense.
So the first Rosicrucian manifesto was influenced by the work of the respected Hermetic philosopher Heinrich Kionrath of Hamburg, author of the Amphitheatrum Sapiens something, I don't know, almost sounds Latin.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm butchering that. I'm doing my best. Who was in turn influenced by John Dee, author of the Monis Hieroglyphica. The invitation to the royal wedding and the chemical wedding of Christian Rosencrux opens with Dee's philosophical key, the Monis Hieroglyphica symbol. The writer also claimed the Brotherhood possessed a book that resembled the works of Paracelsus, a Swiss physician and alchemist. So there's some borrowed things here in these texts about the Rosicrucians. John Dee, very big, very well-known alchemist and occultist. So they're borrowing from him, and then they're borrowing from this other famous physician and alchemist. I'm sure I'm screwing up his name.
Paracelsus?
Paracelsus. That sounds more right.
That's how I would say it.
So
Also, something weird I found? If you scroll up and look, Rosicrucians' last name, I've seen it been spelled with a TZ and then without the T. Did you notice that?
I think it's just because it's German.
Yeah, I guess so, but because I wrote it down looking through a few sources, and some spelled it with the T and some spelled it without. So it is just, it was just weird to me.
You'll also see the Rosy Cross and Rosy Crux
Yeah.
and stuff spelled differently.
100%.
I think we got a combination of different languages and different times.
I mean, yeah, different.
Because some of this almost sounds Latin, and then German. You got German, Latin mixed in there. And if they are tapping into alchemical things, then there's probably other older languages mixed in there.
By the way, they have to be tapping into other
Oh,
alchemical
definitely.
things, like
They seem to be,
Yeah.
they seem to be all definitely into alchemy. So
100%. It's pretty cool, man. It's so mysterious. Like I really don't know. We'll get into it later. I don't really know fully what to think, but keep on track here. Keep trying to
right.
get more info.
Definitely. So we kind of touched on masonry. So there are Rose Cross degrees in masonry. So let me just read this paragraph here. According to John Perrier Bayard, 2 Rosicrucian-inspired Masonic rites emerged towards the end of the 18th century. The rectified Scottish rite, widespread in Central Europe, where there was a strong presence of the, quote, golden and rosy cross, end quote, and the ancient and accepted Scottish rite first practiced in France, in which the 18th degree is called Knight of the Rose Cross. So it's basically saying here that the Masons in the Scottish Rite have degrees, have things about the Rosicrucians.
They have shit in common.
Yeah, they have rites directly about them and inspired by them.
By Rose.
So they're connected. I don't know the full extent of their connection, but it exists. I think that's all we can say from that.
Like, this is just the freaking
Yeah.
whole of conspiracy theories. Like, everything's in there, man.
Yeah, so the Scottish Rite, which they go up to 33 degrees, their 18th degree is the Rose Cross.
Rosy Cross, sound familiar?
Yep, a little bit of information. We're going to probably tie back to that later. So now we're going to get into what I think me and Jake both have been waiting to get into.
Yeah, so this goes back to episode 1, the
Yes.
book Occult Theocracy. It's super cool. We got to use this again.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
who has listened to us after episode 1. I know we did it blocky.
We've come a long way.
So
Still got more to
Occult
go.
Theocracy, we still feel strongly about. It's a great book.
Yeah,
And it talks about the Rosicrucians.
of course it does. There's a chapter on there, and it's decently lengthy. There's some cool insights, some good quotes. So Red went pretty good into this.
So we're excited to share with you guys what it says about them. So I'm going to read to you some of it that I've taken from there so we can talk about this. So here we go. In Occult Theocracy, Lady Queensborough writes this about the Rosicrucians after citing their reference in the Encyclopedia Britannica, 3rd edition, volume 16, 1797.
dude,
Whew, that's an old one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Britannica, like, it goes back,
Man, Britannicas. I want to get an old set of
Dude.
Britannicas just to have.
I never even thought about that. That would be pretty dope. Like, you probably
Yeah.
couldn't really read them, but
You know, I never thought of that. You
Yeah.
haven't come up with the generation. I might be the last generation. I came up with, we had encyclopedias
yeah,
because we were pre-internet.
we had. Yeah, true. When I was young, we had dictionaries, the thesauruses, but Britannica, it was an online thing. Like,
Yeah,
you
dude,
went-
we had a whole bookshelf
You had-
just for the encyclopedia that you'd have to, like, if you had
Yeah.
a book report in school, you'd have to go look at the encyclopedia and whatever, if it only had 2 paragraphs, that's all you had to go
Yeah,
on.
that's all you got.
Yeah, that was it.
Dude, yeah, I don't think I ever did grow up with physical copies of Britannica. I might
Yeah.
be not remember, but I think they were done at that point. It was all online.
And just reading this, yeah, I'm going to have to get an old set. So,
Yeah.
Lady Queensborough is going off of it, and she quotes that to start. And then after quoting the encyclopedia, this is what she has to say, okay? Quote, "This article, having been written in 1747, only hinted at what the Rosicrucians might have been. Subsequent research upon the organization of the fraternity, its tenets, and its achievements show it to have been a medium for the propagation of Gnosticism and a center for political activities. Before it's conquered Freemasonry, which was officially instituted in 1770, many names were already associated intimately with this esoteric organization." End quote. So I like what she has to say there, and I like how she ties it to the propagation of Gnosticism. It's very interesting, and I think for anyone who's familiar, that is going to tie a lot of their ideas and beliefs to their organization. I think that's a big pointer, a big flag there for you to follow.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's kind of hard to follow along sometimes. Like, that is super dense.
Yeah.
But it is really crazy. Like, we've already gotten along. We talked, like, the connections are crazy. Like, the birth of many things after, where did Rosicrucian come from? Like, you know, there's a bunch of different connections you can make.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you. So let's continue with the cult theocracy, because we're only just started on that. So after that, she's only talked about the encyclopedia. She's made that comment. Now she goes on to list many names of Rosicrucians and an explanation of the members being alchemists, astrologers, and spiritists whose quest for, she describes it, but to me, she's describing the Philosopher's Stone.
Yes. That connection is made too, and it's pretty cool.
So it sounds like the Rosicrucians are an order built around searching for the Philosopher's Stone.
Dude, I feel like how can the stakes get any higher, man?
It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
So she says to most of these, quote, "Generation was the root principle of alchemy," end quote. I thought that was a cool sentence.
Yeah.
Generation, the root principle of alchemy. I don't know what exactly that means, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I'm too low IQ for this topic, but
I feel like I want to know more around that quote and the context of it. So she goes on from there. She goes on to cite an account of the legend of Christian Rosicrucians according to Charles T. Klanaken?
Klanaken. We'll go with
Klanaken?
that.
Okay. 33rd degree historian, Grand Lodge, State of New York. I'm assuming he's a Mason and Scottish Rite member if he's a
Yes.
33rd degree. So, much of the legend is the same of what we cited earlier, so I cut a lot of it out. But she has more details, or he, rather, who she's quoting, has more details about it. So I'm going to read you some of this word for word, okay? Excuse me. So, quote, "On entering, great was their surprise to find it was resplendent with a bright light." This is, I'm sorry, end quote. I'm sorry, I should have gave you some context here. This is when some men, they find the cave where Rosicrucians is like entombed in. after he died. It said that it would be found, I don't know if you recall earlier, it said it would be found 120 years later.
Yeah.
So this is them finding it 120 years later.
Supposedly.
Yes. Sorry, I should have started with that. So let's start over. Quote, on entering, great was their surprise to find it resplendent with a bright light. It contained an altar bearing upon a copper plate the inscription, living, I reserve this light for my grave. One mysterious figure, which I think is referring to a statue, was accompanied by this epigram, never vacant. A second figure with the inscription, the yoke of the law. A third figure with the liberty of the gospels. And a fourth with the glory of the whole God. The hall still contained lamps burning with fuel, mirrors of various shapes, and books. Upon the wall was written, in 6 times 20 years I will be discovered. The prophecy was fulfilled, adds the fable, by way of conclusion. End quote. That's the story.
Dude, it's like an Egyptian like mummy tomb. Like there's freaking artifacts and quotes and
Yes.
dude, like that is freaking weird.
I know it. It's like Aragorn
Yeah,
stepping
dude,
in.
I was gonna say Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
I
it's
swear.
like him stepping in and making all the ghost armies like withhold their oath.
Yeah, dude, it is totally a movie. Like,
It's like they step in, see all this. There's light in this cave for no reason with
Yeah.
these statues with
I'm
all
thinking
these
that-
cool things written on them. And then it says 6 times 20 years I will be discovered. And they're like, oh my God, he died here 120 years later and we just found it.
yeah, perfect timing, just by fate. We're here. We get in, dude. Like,
So this is why this thing is all just, I think, allegorical and metaphorical.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel you definitely
Like-
can't take. I want to take it literally. I want to. The kind of guy I am. Like, dude. Like,
it would be awesome.
I wish that was totally real. Maybe it is. Doesn't seem like it. But
It's just way too cool to be true.
yeah,
right?
I mean, everyone. If you have like your mom would tell you, if it's too good to be true, probably is, and that's probably the scenario we're in here. But regardless, it's still interesting, and there's probably ways you can unpack this and get, answers or more info or probably more questions at the end of the day. But
Yeah, probably.
it's fucking cool, man.
Okay. So after she does that, she did the Britannica, she gives the 33rd degree story. Then she eventually recounts that the 7 who appear to run the Brotherhood of the Rosicrucians, so I guess 7 people are in charge, they decide to maintain the strictest secrecy for 100 years, referring to themselves as the Invisibles.
Yeah.
For some reason, they have an oath to destroy the Church of Jesus Christ and decree that in the year 1770, it would transform the fraternity into an association which could carry on a more or less open propaganda to do so. She finishes her chapter on the Rosicrucians, talking about different prominent members of the group and prominent Masons who are a part of the group. Okay, that's what she had to say. I found it this last thing I found super interesting. So in other readings, I hadn't heard anyone else refer to that they were out to destroy the Church of Jesus Christ and that they were sworn to do so. That's weird.
Yeah. So this book, if y'all, like we were saying, you watched the first episode, like this book, like just like this whole topic, like you can't take everything 100%. Like, and you can tell she doesn't know either. She's given different things she found, different sources,
different references.
Yeah. But I agree with the websites and the videos I watched. I didn't see anything about destroying the Church of Jesus Christ. But I mean, it's a cool insight, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I know what they mean by it in context.
Do you?
I do. I want to talk about that more at the end.
Okay.
But it's weird. And yeah, I like that she has a little more insight that we may not have had. I mean, she was around in a little bit older time and maybe had a little bit different view, maybe a little bit different resources than you can find on the internet these days.
By the
So,
way, I feel like, I don't know if we've mentioned her name. We're talking about Edith Starr Miller. That is the author.
That is who Lady Queensborough is.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what she had to say. Now the last thing I have to talk reference to here about them is the modern Rosicrucian groups, because there are modern groups that to this day you can go and join. So in the 19th century, new Rosicrucian societies appeared as part of a general occult revival that took place in Europe and the United States.
Yeah, because they were saying it died down pretty good in the 18th century, end of 17th.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. And then it came back. Some people found the books.
Yeah.
Or there was some floating around, and I don't know what made that happen, but yeah, so the Rosicrucian fraternity was established in San Francisco in 1858 by the American spiritualist and abolitionist Pascal Beverly Randolph. Several groups, such as the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia and the Societas Rosicruciana in... Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
this is a tough
I can't
one.
say that.
You want me to try it?
Go ahead. Go for it.
Civitatibus?
Okay.
Kivitatibus? I don't know, man. That's a tough one.
Civitatibus.
Yeah.
And there's more. Phodratus.
I like that.
Founded in England in 1866 and 1880, respectively, emerged out of Freemasonry. The two most successful modern Rosicrucian organizations were established in the 20th century. The ancient mystical order Rosicrucis, or Amorc, was founded in New York City in 1915 by H. Spencer Lewis, claiming that he had learned the teachings of the order from European Rosicrucians. Lewis attracted new members from around the world by distributing his teachings in mail order lessons. Regarding Egypt as the cradle of Rosicrucian wisdom, he subsided the creation of a highly acclaimed Egyptian museum and the group's headquarters in San Jose, California. So that's it for the modern Rosicrucians. You can still Google these and find them on the internet, by the way. They're still alive and kicking and around.
Dude.
You can join them right now and start learning their secrets.
It's pretty cool that it's around today. And also, the amount of times I've heard Freemasonry in these, from our sources, like, dude, they definitely got it from the Rosicrucians. Like,
You think they got it from the Rosicrucians?
at least part of it.
Or did the Rosicrucians come about and then tie themselves there
Maybe
just to give
that's so.
themselves some validity?
I mean, it's possible.
I don't know. Both are possible.
Yeah, the way you put it that way, there's no way. I guess what I should have said is they're definitely tied together.
They are
100%.
definitely intertwined.
100%.
I will agree with that for sure.
I guess now that we got some of the more, I don't know, I guess
The denser parts.
the
of it.
denser,
Yeah.
the more structured part of the podcast out of the way, I got to have my little weird part at the end. I guess I'll stay a little better. I'll start with the whole rose cross in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and do yourself a favor and just look up a photo. It's just so you see what it looks like. But I wanted to get into the idea of like what is the rose cross, and at the end of the day, I have no idea, but I have a few, especially going on the wiki and just thinking about it. But here are the few different quotes that I got from the wiki of what different people think it represents. One of the first ones is the cross represents the human body, and the rose represents the individual's unfolding consciousness.
Okay.
So that is the first one I found. Another one I found is that others believe that the rose represents silence, while the cross signifies salvation. Another one I found is others believe the rosy cross as a reproduction butchered that a little bit. Others believe the rosy cross as a symbol of the human process of reproduction elevated to the spiritual. So, just super,
Okay.
just like, what the hell does any of this mean?
What do you think it represents?
I guess the whole I guess I'm boiling it down, but spirituality and just maybe a hope, I guess, is what I kind of
Okay.
see it as. Like, it's a cool symbol, and just how everyone says it about human or reproduction and consciousness and individuals, and the word salvation. Like, I get spiritual, higher power vibes off of it, I guess I would say.
Definitely. Yeah, like Optimus Prime. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Do you get anything out of those? Like,
I do, and I have been dying to give my thoughts on this.
do it. This is prime time right here.
So now I can tie back to what I think they mean by they're against the Church of Jesus Christ. I don't think they're against Jesus Christ's teachings.
I agree.
I think they're against the church and its idea of what Jesus Christ's teachings mean. That's what I think.
Oh. Okay.
So I think it's all said in their what they have chosen to be their logo, the cross with the rose at the center of it.
Yeah, the cross. I mean, that for sure.
So I think this ties into other, I guess you would call esoteric and, like I said earlier, Gnostic teachings. Gnostic teachings, I think, have a big part of this. So I think what this is about, and this is we're on to our opinions now.
Yes.
We read all the facts. I'm into my opinions. What I think what they are talking about, or what they think that is, and what even ties into what they think the philosopher's stone is. They talk about that, right? They're in search of that.
100%.
I think that they are talking about there is an interpretation of Jesus Christ in the Bible in a non-literal sense, saying that it's all metaphorical of Jesus, his life, the reason of him being 33 years old, the reason that the Masons, the Scottish Rite, have 33 degrees has to do with a esoteric teaching that in our body we have 33 vertebrae in our spine. And I think this all ties into opening your pineal gland, which I think is represented by the rose. So I think they're saying that the story of Jesus Christ, which is why they have the cross, I think they're saying that that is a story that is teaching you how to open your pineal gland, which is represented by the rose.
Can we get a little round of applause for Red's observation there? 'Cause,
I don't know if I'm right, but
dude, I was talking to Red earlier today, and he, you said something like that, and I was like, dude, write that shit down now. Like,
Yeah.
that was a dope insight, and like, if like anything in this topic, like, you can't take
Right.
anything for sure, but that insight,
So I think it ties into with a when in our podcast about the Philosopher's Stone, we talked about that there was this idea of that alchemy, the physical part of alchemy, was made to be a distraction, and that really the spiritual part of alchemy
that's the real shit.
is the real part of alchemy, in that the Philosopher's Stone really is a personal thing where you need to spiritually bring yourself to a form of enlightenment. And a lot of people believe that to become enlightened means you have to open your pineal gland.
Yes, and on the wiki that we have linked down below about the Rose Cross, like, one of the last parts of one of the sections is saying that the Rose Cross could be a symbol of the Philosopher's Stone, which I
think it is in that context.
yes, in that context, it makes so much sense to me. I know me saying earlier about different beliefs about it, it's kind of dry, but it's like, who knows? Like, I don't think we'll really know for sure, and
Right.
I think that comes into how you made your own interpretation on it, and how you kind of asked me, like, maybe that is kind of the point of it.
Maybe the whole point is, maybe a whole part of it is that to reach enlightenment is that you have to seek it and find it, that the knowledge isn't easily accessible.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe.
Yeah, with all the stuff we've covered here, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not enlightened. I'd like to be.
Yeah.
If I ever become, I will gladly share it with everyone.
Yeah, we'll let you know if either of us become enlightened, but I guess just to segue, just little, farting around, just weird shit I found.
Yeah, I got some more cool stuff on the Rosicrucians.
Some people believe that they're possible descendants of the Knights Templar,
Of course.
which is maybe a topic we'll have to cover at some point. But
Definitely.
Yeah, but I just thought that was cool. I didn't find a ton of information. I'm not going to act like I researched it thoroughly, but that is something I found. And this is something that we'll segue into later in another podcast, but some believe that Christian Rosicrucians is is Saint Germain.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean,
People make that connection.
think about that.
I'm
like-
surprised they haven't made him his own ascended master. But
yeah. You'd think they'd keep him his own thing, but
So we're gonna have to get tie into that more in another podcast. That's interesting though.
and I guess to finish it off for me, just some funny shit. When I looked up Rosicrucian on YouTube, the first thing that pops up, I screenshotted it, was an ad for Christian missionaries. And I just thought that was a funny little add-in. Like,
Well, they're doing a bad job of overthrowing the Church of Jesus Christ. Then, I'd say.
yeah,
it's
so
interesting.
I just thought it was cool. Like, it was literally, I mean, the first ad, I guess Rosicrucian just connects into religion topics and stuff like that. So I get it,
Right.
but it was just funny. Like, the first fucking thing was Christian missionaries.
Which, by the way, we are not in no way.
No, I don't want to shit on any of that.
Well, I'm just saying we're in no way talking down on the Church of Jesus Christ or anyone who believes in
No.
it. This is all just about this topic.
And we said it earlier, like you
Yeah.
said up front that you don't believe that one of the objectives was to overthrow the
No, I don't, and I don't. I just mean this is just informative about this group.
Yeah, and
Is all these thoughts here?
I feel like I was going to tell you this after this, Red, but you totally carried this podcast, and it was really cool to hear you talk about it. And
Oh, thanks.
but this one overall, it's just hard for me to wrap my head around.
I think it's hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around. I think that's why there's so many ideas about it.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for me thinking earlier when Red asked me, what do you think about the Rosicrucians? I kind of thought about it, but yeah, it's hard for me to say anything. That's why I wrote down some of the few different ideas. I don't know.
I think it's just one of those things that everyone wants to know more.
And
They've kept it vague enough. They made it interesting enough and then kept it vague enough that we all want to know more. Like, what are you talking about exactly? What does it all mean?
that's kind of the cool part about it. It leaves me wanting more, but it also leaves me being, kind of okay with the curiosity. Like,
Right.
make your own thought about it. Don't make your own thought about it. Just, is it somewhere in between? Is it none of this at all? I don't know.
I think basically back then, whoever wrote the books, I think the whole idea was to make you think, and I don't think it was ever meant for you to literally think that there was a actual order of the Rosicrucians, a physical one. I think that it's just supposed to be like a spiritual one, and you were supposed to spiritually on yourself have your own journey as through the ideas of the Rosicrucianism. I think.
I agree. The only thing that still trips me up is that these manifestos and they were written by someone, or
several people.
Several people, unless they fucking drop down from the sky from God. But
Right.
That's the one part that still leaves me like, who wrote it? You never know. You just never know.
We don't know. There's ideas around that, and it's too old and too obscure to know. But whoever did it did an awesome job. So thanks.
Yeah, totally. They did.
Right.
They did a
I
great
don't-
job.
I don't know what else to say about it. So
Yeah, that's
I
about
think-
it for me, man.
Yeah, I think we covered the Rosicrucians as decent as we like to cover topics. So, this is the part where I give the shameless plug that we have a merch store. So please buy everything from there. Mortgage your house and just buy 1,000 shirts and sweatshirts. No, but if you buy some, we appreciate it. And if not, we just appreciate you guys listening. And we hope you find this stuff as interesting as us. I will say that I am setting us up a Twitter so that we can communicate with you guys. If you guys want to give us any messages and tell us we suck.
Oh, I like this. I didn't even know this yet.
If
yeah.
randomly you want to tell us you like us, that's great. I expect them to be mostly negative. But hey, we're going out there with positive energy. We appreciate everything. So, you got anything else to say, Jake?
I guess the only thing I'll have to say is because of Lord Elon, I guess it's X now.
Oh yeah,
It's so weird. Like you
X
got to
to the
remember
Z
that.
exhibit.
But yeah, I don't have much else to say. It was a fun podcast. I honestly I could have done a better job.
You did all right. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, but like it's really that's about it, man.
Yeah, obscure topic. So hey, thanks for living. Thanks for listening. This is Red.
This is Jake.